Friday's Times and a subject I'm very passionate about now. German football. Josh, you share my passion for German
football. Out of all the football, it's my favourite kind of football.
It's the best one,
The German is like... it turns out it's got the biggest league in the world. I didn't know that.
Has it?
But, well, let's get into this here. Transgender footballers in Germany can choose men or the men's or women's team, which is, isn't that nice for them or they or whoever it is? And... this is kind of a ridiculous thing. Now, rugby, of course, has just cancelled it, as has swimming, in terms of cancelling trans women competing at elite levels of the sport. Rugby has implications in terms of danger, but I would argue that football can be a pretty rough sport as well. So I sense we're going to get... For me, I actually don't mind these things happening because it outrages people, and when people see the physical evidence so apparent... that to argue that trans women are women. No, trans women are trans women, and that's totally great. But when you see a photo of Leah Thomas towering over the other swimmers, and in this case, the photo that I cannot wait to see is when they do a women's football penalty shootout, and you've got all the women standing in front of the goal like this, and one trans woman going like that.
Trust you to think of that image. I mean, this is an important point, though, isn't it? Because the German Football Federation is effectively saying that this is to do with self-identification.
Right.
And it includes non-binary. Now, non-binary, of course, is a form of self-identification. It's not rooted in biological reality. So you can be a male, and you could call yourself non-binary, and all of a sudden you can say, and I choose to be in the female football team. So there's a reason, isn't there, why we classify sport according to biological sex?
Yeah, because, I mean, your biology conveys, if you're a male, you get certain advantages.
Right.
You're bigger and stronger and all the rest.
I mean, this is...
paid more.
Yeah. Better at it.
So does that mean you can identify into the better paid bracket? I guess there's that.
Well, yeah, but how many people are going to... Realistically, you're going to get trans men who are competing as women in women's sport, and you're going to get trans women competing. How many of them are actually going to go, wait a minute, let's make it harder on ourselves? There is one advantage here to the whole thing, is that I think, personally, this might be a way to just cancel women's football at all. Like, why have categories? And then we can stop pretending that women's football is as interesting or as good as men's football.
Well, there's another advantage as well, and that women's football will become interesting
because it'll have men in it.
It'll have men in it, and it'll have women on testosterone.
Right.
So
it feels like we really should have a woman here to participate in this conversation. But then what about this?
One of us can identify.
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
No,
so this is interesting, though. The people responsible for making this decision, the Federation, they've issued this quotation here, and I presume it was in German originally. But they've said all people have different physical strengths.
Let me read it for you. All people have different physical strengths.
OK, and let me do it in an inoffensive way. All people have different physical strengths and abilities that only lead to success together in a team, regardless of gender. Well, yeah, that's right, that every individual person has different physical characteristics. Yeah. So I would like to ask this person and this federation, why do we have categories at all? Why bother? Why don't we just get rid of all sex categories in sport and let's see how that works out?
As well. Let's have no children's.
Let's have heavyweights competing in a flyweight boxing competition.
And why select people for the Olympics based on how good they are? If they've got some sort of inbuilt prowess based on their biology and how much they train, surely that's unfair.
I've always felt that I'm excluded from sport for being really, really unfit. I think that's a kind of unfit shaming.
It's discriminatory.
It's massively discriminatory.
You can be a German women's football player.
That's what I'm going to do. That's my career goals resolved.